You are live.
Welcome everyone to the City of Annapolis Board of Appeals special virtual meeting for July 19th, 2023. This meeting is being broadcast on the City of Annapolis YouTube channel. My name is Bob Gallagher, I'm the chair in the meeting tonight. The virtual format allows the public to observe the meeting through the video link and submit comments through the City of Annapolis website. You'll find links to the YouTube channel, the comment form on the city's website, and a database for case information about the cases you'll hear tonight are all on the agenda for tonight's meeting. People that you see on the screen are members of the Board of Appeals. When a case is called, representatives of the parties to the case will also appear on the screen. Also participating in the hearing tonight are our recording secretary, Kim Consoli. Our broadcast technician tonight is Madeline. Also participating may be representatives of the City Attorney's Office, Board Counsel, Jackie Rouse, liaison to the board from Department of Planning and Zoning, Tim Burke, and one or more other members of the planning staff. Any public comments received by noon today in matters before the board tonight have been provided to the board and the parties and will become part of the record in the case. We ask everyone but members of the board to mute their audio. If anyone else wishes to speak during the meeting, please raise your hand and I will call on you to speak. Let me remind everyone that communications with the board about any case by anyone other than a party to the case must go through the comment form. All communications by parties about pending cases must go through board liaison Jackie Rouse. No one should contact any member of the board directly about any case pending before the board. So with that, we'll ask our recording secretary, Ms. Consoli, to take the roll, please.
Mr. Gallagher,
Yes.
Mr. Hector,
Yes.
Dr. Chen,
Present.
Mr. Zazali,
Here.
and Mr. Walsh.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, we have 5 present tonight.
That's more than a quorum. That will do nicely. Thank you. So let me ask the members of the board, have you had a chance to review the agenda, and are there any corrections or additions?
Yes.
All right. Any corrections or additions then, Mr. Hector? No?
No, I give a motion to accept the agenda as is.
Great. Any second?
Second. I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all again. Now we come to the review of the minutes for the meeting of June 21st, 2023. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? No? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Is there a
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hector. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Now we get on to the real business of the day. And we'll call our first case, which on my agenda is variance 2023-002. Variance application by Erica Winton, property owner, for reduction to the 8-foot side yard setback requirement to 5 feet on the east side and 3 feet on the west side for the construction of a new single-family dwelling with the same side yard setbacks as the existing dwelling on property located at 10 Cheston Avenue. So we have, let's see, we have Ms. Winton here. Would any, and Mr. Schwartz, are you involved in that too?
Yes, sir.
All right, would anyone who plans to testify tonight please affirm that, subject to penalties of perjury, that the evidence you give is true to the best of your knowledge? I have an affirmation there from Ms. Winton
Yes.
and Mr. Schwartz.
Yes, I affirm.
Anyone else will be talking about that case? Okay. Kim Burke, will you be introducing this case for the city?
I will.
The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. This is an application for the reduction of the side yard setbacks, which are 8 feet in the R1 zone to 5 feet on the left-hand side as you're standing on the road looking at the house, or I think that might be opposite. On the left-hand side, if you're standing on the road, you're looking at the left, that's the 3 feet reduction, or the 3 foot setback, and on the right-hand side is the 5 foot. It's the same setbacks as the existing house. They wish to tear down the existing house and put up a new house in about the same location, keeping in mind all of the setback requirements and the height limitations. It is a very, because the R1 zone has a 30% lot coverage requirement, the proposed house is not that much of a bigger, it's not a big expansion of the square footage. So based on that fact, they advertised properly. They advertised their sign. I've got all their affidavits. We've had no neighbor comments. So the city is recommending approval.
All right. Ms. Winton and Mr. Schwartz, we've read your application and its attachments. We've read the recommendation of the staff at Planning and Zoning and all of their attachments. So we're familiar with those things. If there's anything that you think needs to be said tonight before we decide this case, this is the opportunity to do it. I'd urge you not to be repetitive of material we already have in consideration of our schedule. So Ms. Winton, would you have something to add, or Mr. Schwartz?
No, sir. I appreciate the work with the city and Ms. Burke on working this, and we're looking forward to Ms. Winton's full-time residence once we get it built. I do have one, there's a spelling error on page G01. Variance is spelled wrong. That's my only comment.
Oh my goodness. Kim, you'll catch that one.
Okay, yes.
Oh,
Well, was that in Kim's report?
No, it got missed.
Because Kim has like a spelling fetish.
I don't really. I'm a bad speller. So when people spell as not as good as I do, I tend to notice, but I did not catch that.
Oh,
all right.
okay.
Questions from the board?
Just one question, Mr. Chairman. Kim, is the minimum, do you believe this meets the minimum relief required?
Yes, I should have said this is a very narrow lot. It's a 30-foot lot. In this zone, lots are typically are 50 feet wide. There are a couple other 30-foot wide lots on this street, and they have also received relief from the side yard setbacks due to the narrow lot width.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Kim,
Mrs. Dowling? Oh,
Kim-
sorry, go ahead, Nadine.
sorry, to confirm there were no public comments.
No, we did not receive any public comments.
Thank you.
Question?
I'd just like to go here on the record, what is the structural or architectural necessity for tearing down and not modifying existing, if I could get that on the record? Or just the desire, why, what is a sort of an ambitious, it's a 1947 house. I assume it's solid and sound in all other respects. You just want to, if you could just enlighten us why you need to tear it down to build back a nearly identical footprint house.
If I may, the previous owner sold because it was need structural deficiencies, new mechanical, electrical, plumbing deficiencies, needed total upgrades. And so he sold it. It has an existing basement that floods. Structurally, we had a structural engineer just walk through it. And he said, of course, you could figure out a way to save it, but it's not a historic home, has no real historic relevance to the street. So we decided to tear it down and rebuild.
Is the city, did they hear that opinion? Is this a tear down by right? No.
Yes, sir.
No. Okay.
Yes, sir. Tear down by right in the R1 zone of the city.
Got it. Okay.
This- This is a block away from the historic district.
Yeah, it feels, I'm a preservationist at heart, so I cringe a little every time we tear something down, but I understand that you're right.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Let me ask Kim. So we're sticking with the current setbacks. We're not shrinking or expanding them at all. On the sides, what about front and back? Is the house expanding its footprint front or back?
I think, yes, it is going further back. It is longer. The overall impervious increase is only about 85 square feet. Just because of they're limited to the proposed house being about 990 square feet because of the 30% lot coverage limit. I do believe, let me pull up my site plan. It does move back a little bit because of the front yard setback to be in line with, they did the setback averaging between the adjacent houses on each side. So they did pull it back slightly.
Okay, so we are increasing the impervious by 85.
Yes.
And that's always a concern in the city. Has the applicant and her architect given any consideration to ways to offset that? Is there any other impervious that could be converted to pervious?
It's other than the house and the driveway, they have a proposed deck in the back. And that's about all the impervious that they have because the lot is so small and they're bound by the 30% coverage. They don't really have a lot of, there's no accessory structure or anything else that could be removed. They have drive strips for the driveway.
Maybe the designer could talk a little bit about the benefit of the micro tension by what are they new added? Is this have a beneficial?
Yes. So this, yes, they did not have stormwater management before any new construction. They have to provide stormwater management, which they have. Mr. Schwartz can speak. I think they're doing a green roof on a portion of this.
Yes, ma'am.
Which he can talk about. And they will have to do a minor buffer management plan because a portion of this, even though it's buffer modified, is in the 100-foot buffer. So they will have to do some planting mitigation also.
That's what I was interested in, and that answers my question. Thanks for mentioning that, Mr. Schwartz. Any other questions from the board?
None from me, thanks.
All right,
No.
so we'll admit the application and exhibits and staff report with exhibits into the record and close the record at this point. And we will come back and make a decision after we've closed the record in the next case. Ms. Winton and Mr. Schwartz, you're welcome to hang out and join us. I don't think it'll be too long. But if you have other things to do, you may be excused as well.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Madeline, if you'd like to excuse these nice folks and bring in the next applicant.
Thank you.
Are we all here?
Stephen, unless you accept the prompt to be promoted to a panelist, you won't be able to turn your audio or video on. Okay, we're almost all there.
Hello, everyone.
All right, Madeline,
you
are we
are.
all here?
Yes.
Okay, so we're turning now to variance application 2023-0014. Application by Donald Toll, property owner, for reduction to the 30-foot rear yard setback requirement to reduce it to 18.5 feet to construct a 14 by 16 foot porch over a portion of an existing concrete patio at the rear of the house located at 423 Burnside. So, Mr. Toll or anyone else who plans to give testimony on this case, let me ask you to affirm, subject to penalties for perjury, that the evidence you give is true to the best of your knowledge. Do you affirm that? All right, thank you. So, Kim, are you going to do this one too?
No, this one's mine too.
Excuse me, I just want to say that Don called me. He's having a hard time speaking. He can hear, but for some reason he can't speak and have you hear him. So, and so he asked me if I would talk for him or through him, through me to him. If he needs to say something, he would text me and I would repeat it to you.
All right, you just let us know. Go ahead, Kim.
Okay, this is a variance to construct a 14 by 16 foot porch in the rear of the house at 423 Burnside, which goes over the back of their existing patio. Let's see. From what we can see with the aerials, this patio has been there as long as the house has been there. This is the best kind of an addition as far as the environment is concerned. It's over existing impervious. It's in the R2 NC. This is also going to the Eastport Civic Association for their review. We have not heard back from them. This lot is a shallow lot compared to most of the houses on Burnside. There are a couple other shallow lots a block away on Burnside. One of those has also in the past received an administrative adjustment for a 6-foot 2-story addition on the rear of their house. So we've also granted some relief from the code for other people along on this street with the shallow lots. Mr. Toll has done his due diligence, and we have heard from just about all of his surrounding neighbors, and they have submitted letters of support for this addition or porch. So the city is recommending approval of this one also.
All right, Mr. Toll and Mr. Gigliotti, in case you didn't hear me say it to the previous applicant, we've read the application and the attachments. We've read the staff recommendation with its attachments, and we're familiar with those things. If there's something that you feel like you need to add for our consideration, now's the time to do it, but we encourage you to be brief. You good? Okay.
Stephen?
All right. Questions from the board?
No questions.
Same question. Just a simple one. It's these lots, these tight lots. I know that with the flat patio, what is your rain? Where does the runoff from the concrete patio go? Where does the water go now? Does it just go out all sides of the pad and naturally soak into the lawn, or? So I guess the question is, when the water is now concentrated off the hot roof coming down, presumably a downspout, what's the plan in the future?
Kim, you have an answer?
If the architect would like to answer that, I mean, as far as the city is concerned, we're not required to do stormwater management for this. I would suggest that the downspout head into his own yard.
Yeah, I understand that it's not a requirement, but we take this opportunity, we're given this stump, and we like to encourage responsible, take an opportunity to not just do no harm, but to try to improve. So a rain barrel or a rain garden, something to this effect, would encourage the applicant, should he be approved, to move in that direction as opposed to the simple hot asphalt, roof shingle water just dumping straight down into the property. That would be my.
The plan, if I could speak, is to provide landscaping around the base of the porch. So the landscaping would absorb a lot of the water that's coming down, and we can distribute it in a way that doesn't create any sort of erosion.
Good. And articulating that on, while it might not be necessary, it is always encouraged on your final application drawings. Okay, that was all I had.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to better understand the hardship that's being caused.
Do you want, so, I mean, from the city's standpoint, it's a narrow lot. He has the patio. There's really not, it's a modest porch. It's not like it's a big porch. It's a 14 by 16 foot porch over his existing patio. I guess it's the minimum necessary to afford relief to have a modest size porch. Comparable with the other porches or other houses on the street that have porches.
So I need to understand from the owner why he is building this porch, because under the code, there needs to be a hardship.
Don has said that he would like to enjoy his backyard in privacy, and he doesn't have an opportunity to do that because there's no enclosure there. He can sit out on the front of the house, the front porch, but there's not as much privacy as going into the backyard and having that seclusion if he wants it.
I guess the question is, Kim, when was this lot deeded, laid out prior to the current city zoning codes?
This one in particular was, I think, subdivided in the 90s.
So the code
Like
existed.
several, like 5 or 6 owners ago.
Okay.
But there are other lots of the same size on this street that were from the original Eastport subdivision that hasn't.
So when the house and its footprint and its pad were laid out under the original construction, as you've testified that the pad exists at least as far back as your records indicate, the porch could have been built in 1990s without any, the city would have viewed the porch or the concrete pad the same back then?
Prior to the subdivision?
When it was built.
Well, the house was built in the 20s prior to,
That's what I'm asking. That was my
yes,
original.
it looks like everything was built at the same time prior to the zoning code.
Yeah. Okay.
So what's the total square footage of the house? Anyone know that?
I'm not sure if it's on the site plan. It's not very big.
And I guess while you're digging that up, Kim, there's going to be some land disturbance, right? You're going to have to dig footings for this structure that's not going to be supported by the original pad.
No, that's correct. You will have to use footings to build the porch.
Okay.
My glasses aren't that good, but it just has the dimensions of the house. It looks like,
don't you think, Miss Kim?
it looks like it's like 24 by 22 or something like that. It's a very modest size house. It's one of the smaller ones down there.
I see what you're looking at. I gotcha.
Yeah, it's on page A1.
26 26.4 by 26.4 or 28.4 by 28.4.
That's correct.
Yeah, one of those two.
Yeah. Okay, any more questions from the board? No? We thank you, Mr. Toll and Mr. Guglielmi, for your patience and your thorough preparation of your application. And we will admit the application and exhibits as well as the staff report and exhibits into the record and close the record and move on to deliberate your case. So you're welcome to stay tuned or excuse yourself as you choose. So let's go back and start with 10 Cheston Street. Do we need to discuss anything there? Are we ready to begin deliberations? Someone like to start?
I'm going to insist that Michael Walsh start because he was uncharacteristically silent throughout this entire hearing today.
Oh, good idea.
I would like to I'd like to remedy that right now.
I asked the first question in this case I might have you at.
All right.
I took the first question was right on the Christian Zazali playbook, the minimum relief required.
That's okay. That is exactly right. That is my go-to.
That's right. I want to save you that. I want to save you that. Well,
Mr. Chairman, should we excuse the other panelists?
Anyone who would like to leave may leave, but anyone who's interested in staying through the deliberations is welcome to do that.
Open meetings.
Okay. I'll give it a try. On this particular issue, I'm sensitive to the questions that Mr. Zazali raised about being a rebuild on the site, but the fact that the owner has the opportunity of right to do that kind of allays that concern. As for the requirements of our review criteria, I find that this meets the criteria. It seems to be unique. It's an old home and kind of unique spot there. And I don't see any particular financial gain attributed to doing this. So I think it meets the requirements of our standard review criteria. I'd be in favor of it.
Mr. Hector?
I'm in favor of it.
Dr. Chen?
No comment.
Mr. Zazali?
Yeah, I think that's the nail on the head. I move reluctantly to accepting that a house has no value. But I understand that it's by right and minimum relief is sought and therefore I think we're not in a position to deny, but we'll hear a motion.
The hardship question is always a hard one. It's such a vague standard. But I'm satisfied in this case that the standard has been met as well as the other standards. So if someone would like to make a motion, I think it's a good time.
Mr. Chairman, I move that variance 2023-00002 be approved with the conditions attached to the Planning and Zoning Department staff report. It has met the criteria for the granting of a variance based on the evidence presented to the board.
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Hector. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. I just want to mention to Ms. Roush, the number in this case, 00002, seems to imply that the Planning and Zoning Department could anticipate as many as 99,000 variance applications in a year. Is that correct?
Yes, it is correct, Bob, and we're going to schedule 4 or 5 meetings a month starting in September.
Yeah, okay.
The numbering system came with the new software package.
Jackie, but also from a mathematical perspective, the number 2 would have sufficed.
Yes.
Yes, it's, yeah, is it also amazing to us that we need a but apparently they must have clients in other parts of the country that do humongous volumes of business.
Okay,
Lucky for those boards.
all right. Ours is not to question
Right.
Only
department
to,
procedure.
only to observe and comment. Okay.
Let's see, we're coming now to 2023 014. 10 is enough for me. Are we ready to deliberate this one?
I think
we are.
so.
Yes.
Who would like to begin on this one?
Well, I, of course, raised the sticky point, which we've dealt with in the past, which is the hardship question. And I raise it because in the past, we have indeed denied porches based on lack of hardship. Is privacy sufficient hardship in order to allow this application?
Yeah.
I have a different
Thoughts?
reading of hardship there, but I guess we'll all interpret to our own.
You what, Christian?
I have I mean, my interpretation might be wrong, and I'm welcome. You know, the hardship is the effort, the requirement for the variance because of the difficulty associated. They didn't create the hardship, meaning the lot size. They didn't sell off a piece of their lot, thereby creating this hardship. Right? I know if you have a 1 acre lot and then you go to the board and subdivide it and then come back and ask for a variance, you've created your own hardship. This couple bought the house that the city, in its infinite wisdom in the history of the city, decided was a rightly sized buildable lot, and they want to have a screened-in porch on an existing area of concrete. In my opinion, I don't think that's a huge reach within a right that's available to anybody else within this zoning district there to enclose an existing concrete pad. That to me seems like it is a bit of a hardship. They're coming, but you know, they just want a screened-in porch on a existing concrete pad, but for the fact that somebody allowed a house to be built on an undersized lot. That's the hardship, in my opinion, not the privacy part. But I could be wrong. I'm welcome.
Yeah, as I said before, it's a sticky standard. I agree with Christian, and to say it another way, this is not a big house. It's not a big house compared to its neighbors, but it can't expand to include a porch if you don't find a hardship. The hardship is that because of the configuration of the lot, you can't enjoy the amenities that your neighbors are enjoying. Is that the right standard? I don't know. If someone disagrees, the courts will tell us.
Right. Yeah. If you came back and said, I want a 50 by 60 screened-in porch, you know, well, that's an entirely different matter.
Mr. Walsh?
Yeah, I agree. It is a highly interpretive standard, and we've wrestled with this before. And sometimes I've been satisfied with where I've come out, and sometimes I've thought back on things and said, really, was that a hardship? In this case, I think because it's already over an existing and not expanding on the existing pad, I'm not as troubled by it, given that it is a modest, as Kim Burke referred to it, a modest home in that area, even more modest than by others in its proximity. I would at least say that it's certainly enough of a hardship where it gives them the opportunity to have a full and reasonable use of their property.
Where this becomes troubling in the future is if it becomes an enclosed living part of the house, and then somebody comes in 10 years later and wants a variance for a deck on the back of that part.
Yeah.
You get creep over time. So that's
it's going to get a lot stickier if you try to expand the footprint.
right. Yep.
Yeah.
Mr. Hector?
I agree with Christian. Christian hit it right on the head.
I did. Oh, wow.
Again, he did.
Yes, he did. He
Mad
did.
carpentry skills showing rearing your head.
Do we have a
Metaphors
motion?
abound.
I motion that we move forward and approve this variance.
As recommended.
Okay.
For a second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, we've survived another one. And Jackie has given us a present. We're not going to have any meetings in August. So we won't see each other in this context again until early September. Thank you, Jackie.
You're welcome. We'll be expecting our presents to be delivered,
Yeah,
Kim and I.
Your presence will be our leaving you alone.
Oh, okay.
Our
Yeah.
lack of presence is your present.
I think we're all quite, we're also, as from a staff point of view, really happy to have a month off. I can't remember the last time we didn't have meetings in August, so it's really terrific.
Good.
good,
So,
Okay.
good. So is there another motion that someone would like to make?
I move to adjourn.
Before we
Second.
adjourn, I just want to tell everybody to be safe in your travels. This heat is relentless. It's going to go on for at least another week or two. Just be
Hector-
safe at a very
Hector, your safety moment is showing through. I recognize what you're doing there.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Hack.
thank you.
I had a very unfortunate episode with one of my employees yesterday. He had to be hospitalized, and it's been near and dear to my heart.
Right. Yep. Thank you, Robert, for that. We do
Thank you.
start every one of our meetings with a safety moment, so I know where you're coming from.
I'll take
Thank you,
that.
Hack.
I'll take that, Heck, as a second.
Yep.
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.